What's everyone, is Matt Mrozik, and this will be the intro slash work in progress number 1 to the Graven Labs Hulk and Stan Lee piece. So I've had this in my possession for a few months now, and I'm finally getting around to working on it. When my buddy Floyd was here the other weekend, he basically did the prep work for me, so it's ready for paint now. It's a really awesome piece. It's impressive. It's huge. It's about the same, almost the exact same size as the Mad X Hulk. So quarter scale, huge. He probably weighs, the Hulk alone probably weighs 30 or 40 pounds. He's solid. What I really like about it is that they have two really nice big keys in the legs. There's square metal channels in the hips with two big square metal rods going up into the hips so the legs can come off. I don't have to worry about like permanently attaching them, which is really handy because he comes with real pants, which I have over here. So I got some real pants that go on them, kind of corduroy. And I'll have to talk to Marcus to see if he wants me to beat these up a little bit. I'm assuming we'll tear them up a little bit, make them look battered and stuff. So it's actually two statues, and I'm not sure if you only have the option to get both of them, or you can just get the Hulk or just the Stan Lee, but it's pretty cool. And now I'm just now noticing that I need to see if I have the teeth for Stan Lee, because I don't see teeth for him. I just now noticed that. I need to check the box to see if I have teeth for him, because I'm missing a teeth and gums. He has glasses, but they broke, so I have to try to fix those. So like I can't pick Hulk up by himself. He's just too big. But if you take Stan Lee off, then you've got Hulk like this, just by himself. And he's massive. I can't even turn him around right now because he's so big. But on the base, he is right at 25.5 inches tall. Width-wise, he's going to be right about 26 inches. And if you just have the Hulk by himself, from the back of the base to the front of his hand, you're looking at about 22.5 inches to here. The base itself is only about 15.5 inches deep. Now if we add Stan to it, the only thing that's going to change is the depth. So we'll put him in the and now the depth changes to about 24 inches. So if you add Stan to the front, the depth is 24 inches, the width stays the same, and the height stays the same because Hulk is big. So let's come in and look at Stan a little bit, because he's really cool. So the lightness on him is very, very good. And right now he's not pinned, so I'll pin him today. So we got the head comes off and the collar. So painting will be much easier because of the way they separated them. And then he's got the two Hulk, fists. I need to talk to Marcus how he wants these painted. I would paint him like green foam, like fake fists. So I need to talk to him about that. And now this will probably all be one piece when you get it. And this comes off, and then his shoes are separate, and they're done really well, really nicely detailed. So the factory did a good job on the prototype. And this shoelace broke. I got to fix that. I have the piece over here, but it's no big deal. So that's Stan, and the base is solid. It's solid. And then the Hulk, you can see that there's a clear part in the bottom here for the light up feature. So they they casted the center part of the base in clear, and the rest is solid. You can see some tape here from when we had it masked off when Floyd was doing the priming. So when Floyd was here, what he did is he went in and fixed all the little pinholes. There's some pinholes on the feet. There's a few little rough areas. It really was not bad at all. It was really done well. So casting was done really well on this piece. I love the sculpt. This face sculpt is really nice. Just really nice, good proportions, good anatomy, done really, really well. The skin's got nice texture to it. So today's goal is to get the green skin tone done and improved. I've got some I gotta get some dust off of him. I've got some go-bys, some references from Marcus to use. So I'm gonna do my normal thing where I go and noodle it and everything. And then the main difference is the shade of green. He wants a slightly brighter green than I normally do, which will be nice. It'll be a nice change for me. So I can get that done and approved. Then I can move on to like the fingernails and stuff like that. The nice thing is the pants are real, so I don't have to worry about masking off like the legs and painting the pants. So you can see we have some flesh tones sprayed in here. That's for the tongue. So I'll put some silly putty up in there just to kind of block that out a little bit. And then I can spray, I make darken the tongue a little bit, but it's really deep in there, so you don't see it too much. And I add a little like red wash to it before I do that. But yeah, so he's ready for paint. So that's what we're going to do next. So so let me put all the parts of Stan Lee over here on the side behind me on my little staging area. I have my studio completely cleaned up, and it's amazing. I took the big table out of the middle because my goal is to only concentrate on one project at a time now. Part of my issue with getting so backed up is that I would have 2 or 3 projects going at once. And oops, sorry, mic fell off. Oh, please. Sorry, my mic got caught up in my wheel of my chair. And it was just really hard to concentrate on one piece at a time. So I'm gonna try to get away from that. So I can kind of show you how he comes apart, because I'm gonna take him apart. Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna do the noodling out here on my bench, I think. Because I can sit down, it's easier on my back. But this thing's just massive. I need to get him on a turntable. So I'm gonna pause and come back. Okay, so I'm on a turntable now. So you can kind of move him around a little bit. So my goal is to, I'll have him on the base when I do most of the noodling, because I need to keep the legs together to keep the tones consistent between the legs. So we'll have him on the base initially, and then I'll take him off the base and take him apart to get into like the areas. I got a little chip there I gotta fix with some green style res, no big deal. To get like up underneath the arms and stuff. But for the most part, I'll keep him on the base to do that, because he's just so massive. This is gonna be like the Maddox Hulk. I'm gonna be really sore and beat up by the time I'm done with this thing. So just to go back over what Floyd had done, he went through and did the fixed the little pinholes that were there, smoothed out some areas that had some resin sludge, and gave it a couple nice coats of the green style res. So that's a really good base coat that I've been using for my Hulks. And then I kind of get that fleshy tone through the noodling of the red and the purple, as you've seen in the past. So we're gonna do the same thing here, but we're gonna do slightly brighter green skin tones for the overall effect. So I'm gonna get some green style res out. I'm gonna touch up a few of the spots that I see they're a little thin, and that one little spot on the arm there. So let me do that real quick. So, and I won't record the noodling process, like the whole thing, because it'll take me several hours to get it done, and you don't need, it's the same process over and over again. So I'll record a little bit of it. So I'm just gonna throw some style resin here. And hit some spots here that look a little thin to me. I meant to sand in there a little bit. It's a little rough. I think we got some dry spray or something. We've got some dry spray up underneath the neck there. So we're just hitting some spots here that look a little light to me. Just so we have an even base tone to work with. This is sat for a few days. So as it dries down, you kind of get some different, you can kind of see where there's light areas. For the most part, he's good to go. I just see a few spots that need a little more. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, so we'll let that dry for a few minutes, and then we're going to start going in with the Mr. Color red and purples that I use for the noodling. So we'll come back after that. So we're going to start this noodling process, which I've shown before. So the first color in my airbrush is the Mr. Color number 108. Character red. I usually use like a GX red, but I'm out of it. This is the next closest thing. It's a really nice color. I like it. So, and again, this is just an undertone. So I've got it over thinned a little bit. I got my air pressure set pretty low, and I'm using my Badger Chrome, and I've got the needle lock knocked down pretty far. And basically I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna draw a bunch of figure eights over the whole figure in this red. So I'm gonna go in just real loose. You know, it's not real, just random. So I'm gonna start here on the butt, because this part you really don't see. And you can see that the paint's pretty translucent. It's not real, it's over thin, so it comes out easier. Take my meat off a little bit. And when I hit a crease like this, I'll hit it a little heavier. But again, just kind of random. I want to get a sense of blood vessels underneath the skin. So I'm going to adjust my exposure a little bit. It's a little bright. So after these first few steps, he's just going to look battered and bruised. He's not going to look like anything. It's not until we start laying in the next layers of green that you really see any effect. I just open up my needle a little bit, and I can go a little bit faster. Sometimes, and I'm starting on the butt too, because sometimes it takes me a little while to get my rhythm when I do this. So I was doing like figure eights, I'm just kind of doing squigglies. Just randomness. Again, there's a little crease there, so we'll hit it just a little bit heavier. We'll start kind of doing a little bit of the shading here. But this process will take a couple hours, maybe an hour per color, maybe a little bit longer. So right there, I'm just hitting that little crease a little bit more, and then I'll come over here and do this. No, you can't see what I'm doing because I moved up. So hit that crease first, and then I'll come in here and hit the high spot. But if I hit the crease first, then when I go back over the crease again, when I do the other parts, then it just kind of adds to the shadow. So if you hit the recesses first, like this, like what I'm doing here, we can start to already shade it a little bit. So I come in here and hit the recesses first, like that. See, I just hit the recesses first. Now when I come back in here and I do kind of the overall, those will just get a little bit darker because I'm just going to kind of go right back over them. I'll put my needle a little bit more, get a little more paint coming out. So it takes a while to get your rhythm. And you know, if your rhythm is different in different parts of the statue, it's okay. We want this to look random and not so methodical. Again, there's a little crease right there, so we'll hit that, and then we'll come back underneath the arm a little bit. I will have to take them apart eventually to get underneath the arms and stuff. But I think you get the idea. So I'm going to do this all over them with the red, and then we'll show you what that looks like. And then we'll come back in and do the purple, so stay tuned. 45 minutes now, and sorry, I'm trying to get the camera in a spot where you guys can see. And I've got basically the kind of the hips, the lower abdomen's done. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take him apart because I can't get underneath here without taking him apart. So I should be able to just lift it right up, off. Like this. Oh, there we go. Okay, so now you can see there, these are really nice big keys in the legs, like that. That's how you key one of these big suckers. It's really done really, really well. So I've got baby Hulk here in my lap. See that right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue working on his pecs and stuff. I took the tape out of here, or the silly putty. I'm going to silly putty his tongue, and then I'm going to go in and so I can do around the lips and stuff. But I need to take him off of the leg so I can turn him over and kind of get up in here in his crotch area. Again, you can see this is real random. This is like, when you first look at these first few steps, like, man, that doesn't look like anything. The first time I did this, I thought I really screwed up. But then when I got done with that Mad X Hulk, I was like, man, that looks freaking awesome. So this is kind of like my go-to technique now for Hulk skin. And I can vary the color green with the subsequent layers after this. So this is just to give it the sense of fleshy undertone. I don't have to go too crazy under here because, again, he's got pants on. But you can see it's kind of just, it's random all over the place. Nothing's really super consistent, which is fine. Now I can get up under here. And the closer I get to him, the finer my line gets. If I back off, it gets a little softer. So I'm just kind of, again, just not being real too concerned about. I'm just kind of hitting the shadows a little harder. Back up here, up in the armpit. I'm sure you can see that. There's not much light going up in there, but what makes these things hard is when they're all together like this. It's really hard to get paint in some of the areas because it's really hard to get your airbrush up under there. It's just kind of getting the right angle. But it all works out in the end. So yeah, hit those the recesses first. Yeah. Okay, just don't flush again. I'll come take care of it in a second. Yeah, go and clog the toilet here in a second. So yeah, so it's hard to get into here sometimes. So I'll do, since I have him off the base, or off his legs, and I have him upside down, I'll work on these areas now for a while. And get those done. I'm gonna do something a little different on this one, I think. We're gonna do, after I do this in the, and I do this, I can't remember what I did last time. I'm gonna do the, after I do this in the purple, I'm gonna do the veins next. In a dark green. That way they look like they're under the skin. So we're just gonna keep doing this, the whole noodling thing. And so when I'm like, so when I want to work on the legs, I'll just turn around. I got a towel behind me as a staging area, so I can put him down. I can continue working on the legs and stuff. So I can take the leg off the base and I can manipulate it, you know, move it around and work on it. But you can see I pretty much got all the way around the leg with it together. That way these lines match up later when he's together. But again, I'm hitting the shadow areas a little harder. Starting to give it a little bit of the shading. And then just back off and so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna keep doing that. We'll be back. Okay, so I got one leg done. That's what it looks like. Not much to look at, but there's the first leg, and we'll do the second leg, and then we'll finish up the torso.
You're giving too much blood. You're barely on your feet. You wouldn't make it across the yard. If something happened, I have to know.
Your place is here. If Shane said he'll be back, he'll be back. He's lucky.
Just sit here.
Exactly what you do. If you need to pray or cry or tell God he's cruel, you go right ahead. But you're not the kind of freak. Carl needs you. But I can't do this by myself. Not this way. I can't.
Into tracheal intubator, baby, for my new respirator. That boy. You gotta keep your strength. What did you? I mean, it was legendary. Did you ever hear about the time Shane stole Kingsley's car? Yeah. Principal's car. Right out of the teacher's lot, middle of the school day. Shane steps out of lunch. Makes a beeline to Kingsley's Hyundai. Wires the ignition, peels out, drives down Dillon Drive to that chicken farm out there. You've heard this before, right? So he pulls it into one of the big holding pans. Kingsley whacks that thing every month. At the auto shop, vacuuming it out every week. Shane, he parks it in this huge pan with a couple of hundred Rhode Island rent. He busts open bags of seed in the back seat, rolls down the windows, and then starts sprinting back to school. It's 3 miles away easy. He's back in time to finish his sandwich before the bell. And the bell rings. Shane gets up when he runs into Kingsley in the hallway and looks out the window and says, Principal Kingsley, your coop's gone. Coop like chicken coop.
I get it.
Of course you do. You've heard this story 1,000 times. What you said before, you're right. Shane's gonna make it back with what the doctor needs. He'll make it back. There's such a need. Carl's gonna be alright. Please, for me, you gotta keep your strength. What am I called now? I'm gonna walk the road. We'll go.
I'm coming too.
I'm going for a walk. Johnson lying in the forest. She's out there, give her something to look at.
Do you think that's a good idea right now?
Dale.
About a 20-foot drop. That's what it takes to make you looking in the athletic field. He's moving the top. Gotta get up there. Gotta get him up and get out. Not me. Maybe you. Hey. Come on, man. Look at me. You really think I can squeeze through one of them tiny windows? They'll be all over it. Take it out too far. Get a head start. You stay here. I hop down, draw him away. That gives you the chance to get up the bleachers and out the window. Where'd you go? Locker room. Down those steps. You're wetting your track. It's got windows too, and more my size. I get out through one, I double back, we meet up out on the field. You're crazy, son of a bitch, ain't you? I'm just trying to do right for that boy. You take 3 shots and you go. Yeah, I fire. Yeah, I'm gonna lay down a couple for you. I can see you leaving. to ring the bell on it. Looks like people live here. What pass this kind of stuff on? Having to be considered.
You closed the gate up the road when you drove in?
Hi. Yes, I'm close to did latch and everything. Well, nice to see you again.
We met before briefly. If we can to help. Is there anything we can do? It's not a bite. I cut myself pretty bad though.
What happened with that? What's wrong with you?
We have some painkillers and antibiotics.
I already gave him some. Oh, it's like,
Come on inside, I'll make you something to eat.
Hey. Whatever you need. If they don't get back soon, we're going to have a decision to make. And that is? Whether to operate on your boy without the respirator.
You said that wouldn't work.
I know it's extremely unlikely, but we can't wait much longer.
You really think we're gonna find Sophia?
you got that look on your face, same as everybody else. What the hell's wrong with you people? You started looking.
Do you?
It ain't the mountains that's a bet, it's Georgia. She's gonna be holed up in a farmhouse somewhere. She'll get lost, survive, happens all the time.
She's only 12.
Hell, I was younger than her and I got lost. 9 days, in the woods eating berries, wiping my ass with poison oak.
They found you?
I don't know, man was off on a bender with some waitress. Murder was doing another stint in juvie. She didn't know I was gone. I made my way back, though. Went straight into the kitchen, made myself a sandwich. No worse for wear. I said my ass, which is something awful. Sorry.
I'm sorry, that's a terrible story.
You know, the difference is, Sophia's got people looking for her. I call that an advantage.
Maybe it's in the world for children anymore.
You know, well, we have a job. All of us here in this world now.
Maybe we shouldn't be. Maybe this is how it's supposed to be.
You can't be that. Okay. All right. I can understand that thought crossing your mind.
It didn't cross my mind, Rick. I can't stop thinking. Why do we all call to live in this world? To have this life. So that we can see more people torn apart in front of him. So that he can be hungry and scared for however long he has before he. So they can run and run and run and run, and then even if he survives, he ends up just another animal who doesn't know anything except survive. If he dies tonight, it ends for him. Tell me why it would be better another way.
What changed?
What?
Jenna offered us a way out. You asked him to let us keep trying. You begged him for as long as we can. You said, what changed?
There was a moment the other day. I mean, it was just a second, but I forgot Kathy was dead. I turned around, I wanted to tell her something. I almost said her name, and it was just a second, and then I remembered, but then I realized she was the highway, the herd, Sophia, Carl getting shot. She shouldn't have to be afraid and hungry, angry. Hadn't stopped happening, Rick. It's like we live with a knife in our throats every second of every day, but Jackie doesn't. Not anymore. And then I thought maybe Jackie was right.
I don't accept that. I can't accept that. That man surrendered. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what he said, none of it. You really think it'd be better if Carl? If we just gave up?
Tell me why it would be better the other way. Please.
Dear, it was so pretty, Mom. It was so close. I remember the...
Carl, what's happening?
No, it's procedure. You hold me down, you could hurt it.
Stop it!
You have to just go through it.
His brain isn't getting enough blood. His pressure's bottoming. He needs another transfusion. Okay, I'm ready. If I take any more out of you, your body could shut down. You could go into a coma or cardiac arrest. You're wasting time. sleep?
I'm gonna wait for him to come back. You can go down and sleep if you want to.
No, people actually are.
Which way did they go?
What the hell? Drop hit, fever hit, world gone to shit, might as well quit. Dumbass didn't know.
Okay, so we got the red done. That took a couple hours, but this is what he looks like. Kind of bruised and battered. But now we're going to do the same thing with the purple. And again, we're going to start with them together so I can work on the thighs area and make sure that those are consistent. So this is what he looks like right now. And he can it actually looks like veins underneath. Looks like veins right now. Or blood vessels, I should say. So I'm going to pause, mix up paint, I'll come back. Alright, so now I got my brushes, Mr. Color number, whatever that is, I can't see it. It's just purple. Let's see what number this is. 67, purple. Again, it's my go-to kind of color for this step. Again, we're going to do the same thing. Come in here and start doing some noodling. I don't do the purple as much as I do the red. The red's kind of the main thing, so I just kind of do this a little looser. Just to give it another tone underneath. Use my exposure a little bit. So this color take doesn't take quite as long because it's not as much and it's quite a bit looser. They red take a long time. They take about 2.5 hours. And you can see this one. I'm not doing like what I did in the red, where I go and concentrate the shadows, because those have already been established. So this is just kind of like an overall effect. So I think you get the idea of that. So I'm going to go around and do the whole statue and we'll come back. The red and purple done, and now it just looks like a big bruised Hulk. But I think you can see what the effect is. It's really cool. It looks like blood vessels underneath the surface. So we're going to start burying this in the different colors of green I'm going to use. So the first step will be to go in and hit the shadows with a darker green. I'm seeing a few spots here that could use a little more. Like that. So it looks a little messy right now, but we're going to start burying all this and it's going to look really, really cool. So I have to look at my color references and make sure I get the right greens, because I may have to go to the store and get some different colors. Because the previous Hulks I did were kind of a darker green, and he wants a slightly brighter green. So let me look at my paint stocks, and then we'll go from there. Next color I have my airbrush is Mr. Color number 120, olive green. So it's gonna be kind of like our shadow color. And I'm gonna go ahead and start with the little Stan Lee fists here. So the only difference between, I think, between these and the Hulk is that these won't have the noodling in them. I want these to look more like, you know, kind of fake. Yep, I think I just had some thinner on my hand. I may have to hit that with some. I'm gonna put that one aside. So we're gonna go in here and work on the shadows. Again, I tend to back off a little bit and make them soft. If it's a little deeper, I hit a little harder. I'm gonna go in and hit the major shadows first, and I'll go in and get all the little wrinkles and stuff next. So I'll do one of these on camera, I'll do that one off camera. So it'll be the same process, just there's a lot of details in this piece. Constantly turning it in the light to see the different shapes and stuff. May need to thin my paint just a little bit more. So I got kind of a big muscle right here. I'm going to back off a little bit and soften it. Same here. Back off. I'm not putting this on so it's completely opaque too. I want to see some of that style resin underneath it. Just give me another layer of dimension. You got kind of a big muscle right here. And spraying this direction so it fades up to the highlight, because I'll add the highlights next. And now we're just going to start going in here and do these little wrinkles. Maybe just in my pan a little bit more. Start to see those wrinkles. And I drop it. Hopefully the paint didn't chip anywhere. I did have to touch it up a little bit. Huh, surprisingly it didn't. It's in my pan a little bit. Had a hard time getting it to come out. I'm gonna do that real quick. See if that helps. All right, a little more thinner. Let's see if it'll. Sorry, having a little airbrush issues here. So this process will take a while. I got a little snafu there, but I'll do that when I go and do the highlights. I think I'll hit the veins now too. Okay. The knuckles a little bit. Round those up a little bit. You see I'm spraying kind of towards the knuckle. Just gives it a little shape. And then around the fingernail. There's some wrinkles here in the knuckles. Kind of fake some of those out because they're not real tight details, but they're there. So we're just going to kind of fake them out a little bit. Make it look like they're there. And then we've got the big muscle right here. This looks looking pretty good. So that's pretty much the shadows. Hit these knuckles a little bit, give these a little shape. It's looking pretty good. Okay. And I'm gonna hit that veins a little bit. Not much to say, just spraying paint. Okay, I'm gonna hit this pretty good in here. Okay, so there's one fist. So that took, what, 15 minutes to do one. So we'll do the other one, and then we'll start working on the statue, and I'll come back for that. This was the one I did fit first, this one I did second, and I like to look at them and compare them, see how we're doing as far as similarities. I see I need to do a little bit right here. There's a little recess right here on the top of the finger. Just like that, very subtle. Need to maybe hit this a little bit harder in here. They don't have to be exactly the same, but we want them to be similar. You got little things I got to touch up here and there. Okay, I'll be on a second. But I think that looks pretty good for the two of them. So I'm gonna put those aside, I'm gonna let those dry, I'm gonna grab some dinner, and then we're going to do the big guy. So I'll come back in a little bit. We're gonna move on to the big guy, and like I did with the noodling, I'm gonna start with him together as one piece so I can shade in here and get this kind of all consistent. Gotta get him up back on this turntable. I took him down for a second. Wait a second, I'll do that. Oh, he's big. Come on. All right. So Start here. Just like this. So again, just kind of backing off on these bigger muscles. The big muscle right here, so we're going to back off and make it nice and soft. So this is basically the same steps. We're going to go in here and get all the shadows. Start giving this guy some more shape. So all that noodling and stuff we did earlier is going to start getting buried, and we'll start to look like more like vessels rather than just kind of squiggly lines. Big glute. Yeah, you probably won't see this because the pants will be on, but we're going to do it anyway. So when I first spray this on, it looks like I'm covering up all that noodling, but as it dries down, it starts to appear again. Big muscle right here. So it's real, you gotta keep turning these pieces in the light because there's so many subtle little muscles here and there. And if you just look at it in one light, you're going to miss something. So it's really helpful to get this kind of going in all sorts of different directions. So anyway, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go through and just keep adding the shadows. I've got the areas that need to be done while he's together, so I'm gonna take them apart and I'll do some of the feet on the camera because there's some really good detail in the feet, and then I'll do some when I get to the face and stuff like that. So I'll come back. Done. Looking pretty good. Got some shape to him now. Still looking pretty bruised and battered, but don't worry, we're gonna start taking care of itself as we get further along. But their legs, and I'm gonna work on the torso. Sorry about that. Okay, so now we got all the shadows in and the veins, and it's looking pretty good. So now we're gonna go in and do some highlighting, and for that we're gonna use Mr. Color number 27, Interior Green. And then he's gonna look even more weird, but let me get that mixed up and we'll do some highlighting. So give me a second and we'll show you some highlighting.
Thanks.
All right, we're gonna start with the little hands again, and I got that number 27 Interior Green in here for Mr. Color. Right there. Right there. And I've got it over thinned a little bit. And we're gonna start hitting all the high spots. I'll probably have to go back and hit the veins again. And they get washed out a little bit, that's okay.
You spend so much time watching me. I'm not being
Just hitting the high spots because we're going to go back in with the mid-tone and kind of blend it all in. And after mid-tone we may go back in and hit the shadows again and the veins again to darken them up. So again, it's several steps.
You okay? Yeah. You mind running and getting me some water? Give me a second. Would you what? There. Yeah. Come on in.
Oops, I'm not in frame, sorry. It happens a lot. I think my camera falls.
I'm working so hard. I get my study in where I can. It's not real. Either way, you're born, you're
You have to go back into the veins again. It's okay. I'm getting a little blown out by this color, but they're actually pretty easy to do.
You and I have our differences, the way we look at the dog. They may be dead, they may be alive, but we are alive right now, right in front of you. You said it out there, and that's the point. I've given you safe harbor. My conscience is clean. This one. This one is special. You can feel it from what's going on out there. Dale said you saw it. It's been a long time. We haven't stopped working. The first time I saw Walker, there was this half a body snapping at me from the ground. My skin was more than it should. The world is out there. It's like stars. Money, blood, where they changes you.
Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Same going on. So same thing over and over again. Just add in the highlights, and then we'll do the midtones. Okay, so we got the legs highlighted. It's looking better. So now it gets a little more shape. All that noodling is starting to get really hidden down below all the paint. So it's looking really good. So I'm gonna do the torso. I'll put them together and show them to you. But now we're starting to see some highlights and stuff. And then the last color is what's gonna tie this all together, because we're gonna fan over basically the mid-tone, which will tone down the highlights a little bit, and just tie it all together and help bury all that noodling we did earlier. So the skin on him today will take me a full day. Yeah, a good 10 hours, 10, 12 hours of work just to get the skin done on him. But again, it's several layers. I just don't do one color then go on top of it. I do a bunch of layers and try to give it a lot of depth. So I'm gonna do the torso, and we'll put them back together and then show it to you. The whole thing highlighted. So the next step is I gotta take them in the spray booth, because I'm gonna break out the big fan tip fan, and we're gonna start blending this all together with the mid-tone. So it's still looking a little bruised, but I can see all the shading and all the shapes and everything. And the noodling's looking really good. It's gonna get even now. This last step will really bury it and give it that fleshy look. So that we've kind of established the shadows and highlights and all the muscles and stuff. And now we're gonna go to the spray booth, and I'll mix up the mid-tone, and we'll start misting that on and just blending it all in. So we'll get set up in there, and that'll be the next step. Okay, so now we're in the spray booth, and we're gonna start blending this all together. I'm gonna start off with a little fist because it's easy to show. So what I have in my airbrush is Mr. Color number 135, Russian green, and let's see what this looks like. So I've got my airbrush in here, this big fan tip. I'm gonna crank up the air pressure quite a bit, and we're just gonna start kind of fanning this on. Blend this all together. Pretty much like that. So what that does, you can see, this would be after we fan it. This is what it looked like before. So it just brought in a nice mid-tone to everything, and we're looking good. So we're gonna put this to the side. And we'll do the next one. And then we're gonna do the big guy, and it's gonna be tough. I have to do him in pieces because he barely fits in my spray booth. I'm not wearing my respirator on the small parts, so I'll have to in the big guy, because this is gonna be a lot of material coming out for an extended period of time. So I'll do this, and then I'll look at the two together and make sure that we're looking similar. But again, I'm just fanning it on. So I want to get paint in all the areas. That looks pretty good. So let me get the other one. And we're looking pretty good. So I'm going to let these dry for a little while as I do the other ones, and then we'll seal them. And then after that, we'll see what it looks like. So now the big guy's going to look a little different because he's got a lot of noodling and stuff, so he'll have a nice fleshy look. So let me get some of that. Okay, we'll see how much of this we can show you. I actually have my phone like outside of the spray booth because I can't back up enough to show him in the shot. So I'm going to have to do some blending with them together, and then I'm going to take them apart and like get up underneath the legs and stuff. I got a little scuff here, putting them back together here in a second, but just now. But I'll touch that up in the end. So I'll put my respirator on. I won't be able to really talk too much because I got to be able to breathe. But I'll start blending them in here and take a look at it. Take the mic off, and I'll put the mic, maybe I'll flip it over here so I can talk if I need to. I got one important thing. I got to cover up the clear part of the base. I don't want to get paint on that, I'll tell you. Stupid of me. I'm just gonna put some paper over it real quick. See a little bit. There we go. Okay. I actually have him balancing on this front edge here because he doesn't fit in the booth all the way. I bought enough of this paint. I bought 3 bottles of it. We're gonna go through it pretty quick because I'm using this fan brush. We'll see. I just noticed I got a little chip out right there, so I'll have to fix that. that's what happens when you handle this stuff over and over again. It's easy. You know, the more you handle something, easier just to damage it as you work on it. So, you know, it happens all the time when I work on stuff. I handle it so much that a lot of times I have to go back and fix things as I go. It's just par for the course, unfortunately. I'm not gonna worry about it too bad. Luckily, it's right there, and I think the pants will cover it up. I'm gonna fix it anyway. I'm going to get as much as I can with them together. As you can see, he doesn't really fit in the boot. And I've cleaned my boot, so the air compressors are doing a good job of sucking all that overspray out. So there's one bottle down. I think I have another one. I hope I do. So what I do is I mix up about 30 mils of this paint. Yeah, nice clean spray booth is great because it does such a great job of pulling all the stuff out. Like I should be wearing a respirator, and I kind of am, but it's pulling all the stuff out. So this is a brighter green that I've done compared to the last two I did. It's slightly brighter, which I like. Let's see if I still have recording time. Yeah, okay, we're good. So make sure I wasn't running out of recording room. I downloaded my card early because it was full. A bunch of clips and stuff on it. I probably won't have enough of this paint. Hopefully they'll have more at the hobby store if I run out today. So I was hoping to get this all cranked out, but if I run out of this paint, it's not going to happen. You gotta be careful I don't get too close to it. I want to make sure I stay the same distance away from it because I don't want to get like a big spurt of this color on it. It'll be really obvious. I did that on the Mad X Hulk actually on accident. So what this does is this knocks down those really bright highlights, darkens the shadows a little bit, and ties it all together all at the same time. Step right here. Kind of where like the magic happens. Sorry, my camera stopped recording. I'm going to mix up the last bottle of this paint. I'm going to take them apart, and then we're going to try to see if I have enough paint to blend it all together and make it look the way I want. So I'm going to do that. Okay, so after blending everything together with that color, this is where we're at. And he's looking pretty good. Let's make him lower on this. Yeah, let me just come off the tripod. Sorry, I had this on a light stand in the paint room because it was hard to use another little thing. So it's looking pretty good. So I'm gonna let this actually dry overnight because it's gonna get darker as it dries. But you can see all that kind of noodling and stuff we did. It's showing through just a little bit. Getting kind of nice fleshy look. Shading looks pretty good. I could probably go a little heavier with the shading, but I don't know. I don't know if I want to go any heavier. I need to go back and hit the veins again because those kind of got obliterated. But I may go back in with some clear, dark like black and green. Mix up with black and green clear and go in and hit the shadows a little bit more. But I think this is pretty good. I'm going to send a picture of this to Marcus and see what he says. But pretty happy with it so far. It's really hard to get good lighting on my workbench too because I've got these spotlights so I can point them where I want. I don't have like a big broad light source, but I'm just going to pause for now. I'm not going to call this work in progress done yet because I want to show this to Marcus and see what he says. But so far I'm liking where we're going. So there it is for now. Stay tuned. Okay, so I sent a picture of this to Marcus last night, and it was before I sealed it. And he says it's looking good, so I'm happy where it is. But I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna hit the shadows one more time. You can see here, I went ahead and sealed it and evened everything out really nicely, and it's looking really, really good. It's darkened down just a little bit. I was worried it was a tad too bright, but I think it's dried down perfectly. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna go in and hit some of the shadows again, give it a little more contrast. When I did the shadows initially, I probably should have started them darker because I had to add quite a bit of that mid-tone to get them to blend correctly, which killed some of the shadows. But it's not that big deal. My highlights are exactly where I want them to be. So all the bright tones are like right where I want them to be. I just want a little more pop to them. But man, it's looking really good. You can see the nice highlights here in the toes. The muscles are looking really good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up some Mr. Color GX104 clear green. Now this is a fairly bright green. I'm not going to use that separately. I'm going to mix it up with some Mr. Color GX clear black. 1 second. Sorry, my dog was whining again. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to mix this up. I'm going to do probably not a really specific mixing ratio. But this is a fairly bright green, so I'm going to do, I don't need a lot of this. Maybe 1 to 1. Give me kind of a dark, translucent green. I'd rather have it darker than brighter. And not that this is a bright color, it's a vibrant color. It's got a lot of green vibrance to it. So I'm gonna mix that up. It's gonna be a little thin. Yeah, I have to mix some more there. I put too much thinner. I'm gonna waste some paint, but it's all right. There we go. I can tell how thin it is by how it looks when it's going up on the side of the cup. So let's pour that into my airbrush. And we'll give it a test shot on some paper towels. Let's see, I think my camera drooped while I was doing that. I really need to get rig up a permanent overhead camera system somehow. Let's see. Hopefully I'll stay there. Okay. So we're gonna start off with the legs because they're easy to handle. And let's see. It's still too green. Not the right shade of green. Probably should have done mostly black with the hair green. Yeah, I'm not putting a lot on. I just want to add a little contrast. So I'm going to unfortunately waste a decent amount of paint, but I tend to do that because it was set to record to the phone and not to my memory card. So anyway, I don't know how much you missed of that. Anyway, I mixed up this translucent green, dark green paint. It was a little too green, so I added more clear black to it, and it's going to build up fairly quickly. So let's start on a leg here. And I'm just going to kind of do this real lightly. I don't want a lot of paint on here. Just want to add a little more. It's going to be pretty subtle. That's what I want. I don't want a lot of... I'm just going to hit the deeper recesses. See right there, you can already tell the difference. And I'm backed off pretty far. I want this to fade up into the midtones and highlights. So I don't want it to look like lines. I want this to look natural. So that's why I back off so far. I want it to be nice, soft transitions. This step should go fairly quickly. So let's see the difference. So on the left side is without any, and then the right is with some. And I think you can see a slight difference. It's not much. It's just a little bit. I actually think I could use a little more thinner. I thought it was too thick, but now it's a little too. I thought it was too thin. Now it's a little too thick. Let's add a little more thinner into my airbrush. So I'm out of sealer right now, so I can't seal this again until I go to the store, unfortunately, but and try to hit some of these creases a little bit. So if I hit the crease first, these are like little creases, and then go back and kind of do the overall shadow, it'll just make those creases a little bit darker while I'm just going to hit them real lightly because they're there. Just that little bit makes a difference. And sometimes I just kind of fake it. You know, there's not a detail there, but it's like in one area but not the other, then it's kind of, I'll add my own little. I'll back off and what's in the, there's some like fuzzies. And I'll back off and I get nice soft transitions in the shadows. I'm not covering up the previous work, I'm just adding to it. So once all that dried down from last night, all that noodling and everything I did really blended very well. And these paints are great because they dry pretty much to the touch pretty much within seconds. So I can paint an area and then handle it and turn it, handle it and turn it. So I'll do this 1 foot and then we'll look at it compared to the other one and see if we see a difference. We should. Not a huge difference, but a little bit. Again, we don't want to make this look crazy. Just want to add a little more contrast. Or this will slow down so I get to the face, because I'm going to really work on adding some more definition to the face. Now, what I can do is, since I kind of went over the veins a little too hard, I can come in here and do the veins again with this color. Just kind of lost the veins. Just like that, just real subtle. So that's looking good. That's the only vein on this leg. Okay. I think I'm pretty happy now. I'm gonna come in here and do the toes a little bit. Right around the nail. So I pretty much have approval from Marcus already on the skin color. I'm just refining it. I knew last night after I did the mid-tone that I'd have to come back in here and do this again because I kind of blew my shadows out a little more than I wanted to. And then you don't see the bottom of the feet. And at least on this one, you do get some paint lift and stuff from it sitting on the base. So I'll just do a brush touch up on those areas before I ship this out, and then it kind of is what it is because it's, you know, it touches the bottom of the base. So every time I take this off the base and put it back on, I get a little paint rub. You can see one like right there on the heel. I'll just brush touch that to the closest color that I can find. I'll probably paint the key black. So one thing I don't do on when I'm painting is I don't like paint the keys black. A lot of guys do that. It's a really nice touch and I should start doing that. They just paint the keys black and it gives it a nice finished look. Okay, so we got the left side, this one over here that hasn't had anything done to it, and we got this one over here that's been bumped up a little bit. It's subtle, but it's there. I think this is right where I want it to be. So let's add a little more green to it. Oh, poop. I just got a spatter. That happens every once in a while, these airbrushes. I don't know why. See if I can get rid of it, or reduce it at least. Unfortunately, when you shoot lacquers like this and you get a spatter, you just can't wipe it off. Sometimes you gotta go in and kind of spot touch it. It's not an acrylic, it's not water-based. I can't go in there with a thinner and wipe it off. I'll take the rest of the paint off. Let's see how that vein looks. Yeah, I think that looks good. You can see I'm not real close to the vein either. I'm letting that kind of fall off to the sides. Soft transitions. Veins are not highways on your arms. They're under the skin, so they're going to be soft. Okay, I'm happy with that. Let's do the other leg. Typically I'd be doing this in the spray booth because I'm shooting lacquers, but since I'm doing pretty low air pressure, I'm doing it out here. And I think what I'm going to do is once this is all done and I'm happy with Hulk, I'll probably end up gluing, once I get the pants on, I'll probably end up gluing them together because he came together kind of loosely fitted together in the box. There's no reason really to keep them in pieces. It'll just create more chances of damage. I'm getting backed off pretty far. So the vein here on the foot, I need to check the other foot and see if I missed a vein. They're very soft, they're hard to see. Just in a few of the wrinkles. I'm not going to hit them all. Just the deeper ones. Back off. So going to the veins, I get relatively close because I want to keep that tight. When I do these big muscles, I back off. So after I do the legs, I'll just do the torso off camera because it's the same process. But you can see after I sealed it, it looks nice and fleshy from doing all that noodling before. It takes a very long time to do it, but man, the results are really cool. Looks pretty good. There's a vein there. Okay. Alright, let's compare them. Now there's a vein on the foot over here. I'll see one. Got that one. Okay. Let's see how these look compared to each other. Alright, I think they're pretty good. I'm happy with those. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, just a little more punch to it. Not much, just a little bit. So now I'm gonna bring the torso over and work on that and do that in my lap because it's very big and it's heavy. My arms are sore from working on it yesterday. So when I get back with that, I'll put them together and show it to you what it looks like. Okay, it's a little hard to see in here, but I just put the last sealer on Hulk and he's looking really good. So it'll be easier to see when I get him on my bench, but that little bit of extra shading really helps just kind of give him some more shape and dimension. I'm glad I did that. That step took a couple hours, a little longer than I anticipated, but it looks good. I'm real happy with it. I've got a few little touch-ups I got to do here. Nothing unusual for doing this kind of stuff, but I went and did the veins a little darker. So yeah, it's looking good. Actually, I just saw a vein I missed on the back, so I'll have to hit that again. But for the most part, it looks good. So I'm gonna let this dry for a little while. I'm just waiting to hear from Marcus on colors for a stand. And then once this dry, I'll probably put him aside and work on the base because that should go relatively quick. I always say that, but then it takes longer. So he's looking good so far. Okay, so I got Hulk's skin done, and I'm really, really liking it. Got a few little brush touch-ups I got to do. He's so big, it's hard to get him out of my spray booth, and I keep bumping his knuckle on the door jamb. So I got a little brush touch-up to do on his knuckle, but that's not the end of the world. But he looks really, really good. This is exactly the look I was going for. I've yet to show this to Marcus, but he said it looked good before. He's gonna love it even more. Super, super happy. So this has got a final coat. I put a lot of sealer on. I'm gonna let this dry for several hours before I do anything else on him. So while we wait for that, I'm gonna work on Stan Lee. And trying to get references from Marcus, and he said, do what you want on them as far as colors go. So I'm starting with the feet, or with the shoes. I'm gonna put Hulk here. And I'm gonna do leather shoes. So I'm gonna start with the shoes. And I'm just gonna kind of, I got one base coated here. And what I'm using for the base coat is GarageKits.us Dark African Flesh as the base coat for the shoes. And I'm just spraying this down here kind of low, so I don't want to get anything on Hulk. So I got some of that in my airbrush. And I'm just should actually put Hulk over on the other side. Put a nice base coat of this paint on. A little tighter. And I'm thinking for his shirt, I'm going to do red, like his sweater. I've seen a couple other guys do it, like a kind of a off green sweater. Seen like a tan sweater. So I think I'm going to do red. It's going to be a nice complement to Hulk's green. So the first step on the shoes is to base coat this in brown. And I'm going to hand brush the soles, probably a darker color, maybe just black. Okay, so that's good. And I already did the other one. We're going to double check the coverage on it. So when I typically do leather, I would normally start with GarageKits.us leather. This has got, it's not quite as orange. I wanted a darker tone to it. Okay, so that looks good. And the shoelaces will get hand brushed after this. All right, so let's put this color away. If I can find the lid. I'm trying to stay organized during this build. I tend to get things all over the place, and then it gets really, really messy really, really fast. So like right now, I can't find the lid to this. Somewhere around here. The next color I'm going to do is actually transparent leather tan. And I'll add a little bit of orange to it. So GarageKits.us transparent leather tan. I'm not even clearing my airbrush. I'm just going to put it right in here. Get rid of the majority of the African flesh. And I'll just darken it up a little bit. Okay, now we're going to go in here real tight. And now these GarageKits transparents come out really thin, so you gotta be real careful because they will pool super fast. So at first it doesn't look like it's doing anything. Probably reduce my air pressure just a little bit. Just gonna go in here and get some shape. So I want to get tighter here in a minute. But for now, a lot of times I'll test it on my thumb to see if anything's actually coming out. So I don't want to pull this trigger back too far. So I'll do one shoe and I'll show you the difference. Now up here is a sock, so that won't get shaded with this. That's a sock. I'm thinking about doing that red also to match the sweater. And the pants, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Okay, so you can kind of see some shading there. I'm going to come in and get this part of the... We're going to do all the little details in the shoe first, and then we'll add some shadows for his foot. I can't tell if anything's coming out. Oops. It came out there. Got a little dry tip. Let me go back and hit that again with some of the African flesh. I think that came out a little too hard. It's not the end of the world. If something happens like that, you just go back and spray some more of your base color on top of it, and you can do the shading. Maybe I'll get away without having to touch that up. We'll see. I'm just hitting all the little crevices and stuff here. Okay, now we're gonna go in and add some. Now there's a shadow here in the shape of his foot, so we're gonna back off. Just how we did on Hulk, and do a nice big soft shadow right there. And we got one right here for his ankle. Same here. I'll come up this way a little bit more. It's looking pretty good. I don't think I have to touch up that spot. I think I'm okay. Kind of just, the little accident kind of happened where a shadow occurs, so it kind of looked out. Just build it up till you get the tone you want. I'm gonna hit the crevices a little bit harder now. A little deeper shadow. You can see I'm pretty far away, and I got my air pressure turned up quite a bit. This is typically how I spray. I mean, it's rare that I turn it way down and get super close. I don't know, that's just how I shoot paint. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So now, let's look at the difference. So left, no shading, the right, it's got shading. And you can see that overall the boot turned darker because the way I'm spraying, I'm backed up. It gets all that overspray over it and it darkens the whole thing and just looks real natural. So I'm real happy with that. I'm gonna actually darken in right between the shoelaces a little bit more because that'd be a real heavy shadow. Just like that. Okay, that's pretty good. I just may do one big long work in progress on this build, kind of like I did with the Colossus, not the Colossus, the I can't remember what I did that on. Was it on the Cyclops I did that? I just may do that. Be like a 3-hour video. Okay, let's do the other boot. See, that kind of came out a little, it had a little dry tip in it. It released on me. Hopefully it's in focus, I don't know. And we're going to hit these with a satin finish instead of a matte. So they got a little shine to them. Okay, now it's got some shape for the foot now. We're going to cut all the details on the leather done. I think the soles will just do black. We're gonna go back and just hit these crevices again, just like we did last time. Let's make them a little bit darker. All right, let's look at them together. And I may just miss a light coat over both of these just to darken them just a little bit. I think I may do that. So now I'm just gonna back up and just kind of to tie it all together. I think that looks good. All right, pretty happy with that. Let's go seal it, and then the shoes will be done, except for the shoelaces. Okay, now we're going to seal these, and I'm going to do the shoelaces. I mixed up a custom color of Vallejo leather brown, some black, and I added a little bit of this parasite brown, and it's just a slightly darker brown than the shoe. So just to get separated a little bit, and just going in here and hand brushing these. A small brush. There's not going to be a jarring difference, but it's going to be slightly different. Get the other one. That one will take a little bit longer. I've got it mixed up here on my palette. One of the few times I actually use the Optivisor. And these things are fragile right here. Really great sculpt on this piece. So Marcus has a bunch of us doing these. I'm doing one. Soul's done his already. He did a really cool half green, half red version of this piece. And then I saw someone else painted up a stand. I'm not sure if he did the Hulk too, but I saw his version of the stand. So I think he's going to offer several different color options for at least a stand. I'm not, and if not, and possibly Hulk. I'm not sure. I'm just going to do slightly, this will dry darker when it's done. Which will give it a nice little separation from the shoes. I may do the soles in this color too. Doesn't take too long to do this. I'm getting better at hand painting, guys. I used to dread hand painting. Now I kind of enjoy it. Alright, so there you go. Nice little subtle difference. Yeah, I think for the soles I'm going to do in black. I'm doing black. So, for that I use Liquitex paints, and I really come to really like these heavy body acrylics. What I could do is do a really dark brown, so I can just mix some black in here with this brown that I got going on. That way it's just not stark black. Let's do that. So the heavy body acrylics are really nice. They've got a lot of more pigment to them. I've got a bunch of the Vallejo, or not Vallejo, like Masters Touch acrylics and stuff. They're a cheap acrylic and they work well. They just have very little pigment and it takes several coats to do anything. The heavy body acrylic's got a lot of pigment to it. Should just a touch of water to that. So I just took some black and added it to my brown mix from the shoelaces. So now it's just not just straight black, it's a really dark brown. When I add water, I do a drop at a time because it can get thin really quick. This brush is a little big for doing this, but we're going to do it anyway. So when I do this, what I'm doing is I'm not using the tip of the brush to get close to the shoe. I'm actually just using a couple of hairs. I put it on the edge and I let it kind of fall into the groove. And if you get a bead of paint, you can kind of get that bead to push the bead of paint into the groove. A little more water. There you go. Sorry, I'm bumping the camera because my camera's attached to my light. And I got my optivisor on and it keeps bumping the light. So I'm trying to show you what I'm doing. But still see it so I can see what I'm doing. So you can see I'm just using part of the brush to get into that groove between the sole and the actual shoe. Alright, so now it's outlined. Looks good. Get this in some water and I'll get a bigger brush to fill it in. And we'll do the other one. So when I first started hand painting things, I always try to get the smallest brush possible, but I quickly learned from other painters that you actually want to use the biggest brush possible for the job that you're doing. So for this, I'm going to get a decent sized flat brush. Take this, get it away a little bit. I don't need an divisor for this. So I'll probably take 2 coats. Paint the key while we're at it. I'll just do one on camera because you'll get the same thing on the other one. Oops, I got a little zealous there. Overzealous with the flat brush. See, it came up on the shoe here, so I just take a really small Q-tip and just put some saliva on it and wipe it up. The Q-tips are really good for one wipe. Once you wipe it once, it's about it. It's about all you get out of it. I think that's a pretty easy cleanup. And acrylics, if you let them dry almost all the way, they're a little easier to clean up because you're not fighting the wet paint. All right. So now Stan's got some nice loafers. We'll let this dry really good before we seal it. And you want to let your, when you do stuff like this, you want to let them dry really good before you seal it. Because these dry by air. You don't want to seal it when they're not cured or dried all the way. Because then they'll never dry. Alright, so there you go. So I'm going to do the other one off camera and then we'll seal them, and then the only thing left will be the sock. So we'll come back for that. Alright, so while the shoes dry, I'm going to work on the collar, the shirt here. And I'm just going to do this kind of like a warm gray, white gray. So we're going to start off with the we'll start off with black. I can find it. Black. And we're going to build up some tones from there. And this is using the GarageKits.us grayscale kit. We're going to use the warm gray, which actually isn't really very warm, but we're going to bring this up to pretty close to white. So first we're going to base coat it in black. And I've actually glued a stick into this. We'll start with black and work our way up. And I just paint the whole part just so you don't see anything. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with semi-transparent white and hit the highlights. And then we're going to mist it over with one of the mid-tones. Semi-transparent, so this is pretty thin paint. And we're going to hit the oops, came out a little too fast right there. When that happens, you guys go back and just hit the shadows a little bit. In the high spots. And then we're going to mix this all together. Where we hit in the shadows if we need to. Okay. Looks pretty good. It's not pure white, so it's not so stark. If I want to brighten up an area, I can come in here to hit the highlight again. Especially on the top here. Yep. kind of creating some extra folds in here because to give it a little more shape. And I'm going to mist over this again one more time. Looks pretty good. And you can keep adding layers. Since this is a semi-transparent, you'll never get this paint to go opaque. You can get it pretty close, but you'll always be able to see through it. So that's why I like to do like this. Add the highlight, kind of then mist over it again. I think that looks pretty good. That's about the tone I want. Not pure white. I'm gonna go and hit a little bit more inside here. There we go. All right. Sure, it looks good. We'll seal this, and that'll be done. All right, so here is the shoe, at least this shoe, all sealed and everything. It looks freaking awesome. I really like it. So we got a nice, slightly different tone in the shoelaces. The sole is a slightly darker tone than the laces in the shoe. So now I've only got one sock to do, and I've been contemplating what color to do the sock. I'm thinking I may just do green. I don't know if I have any green acrylics. I do. I think I may do green. Let's do a green sock. Because if I do a red shirt, it may look a little Christmassy. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to go ahead and hand paint this in. This is camo bright green. And then I'll go in and add some shading with something that's a little bright. But this is a very similar tone to Hulk. So I think it works. I like when I'm allowed to do what I want. Marcus is actually pretty good. He does give me really good directions, but mostly I get to put my own spin, my own style on stuff, which is really great when you work with someone as an artist. When they hire you, you know, typically they're hiring you because they like your style. You know, like I said before, you know, you could give 3 painters the same colors and techniques and everything, but you'll get 3 completely different results. So, you know, we all do things our own way. Our own kind of little look to things. I just paint the way I paint, you know. It's like I don't try to replicate other people's work. As hard as some commissioners try to get me to replicate other people's work, it's just not really possible, to be honest. You know, the factories can do a pretty good job of getting close to the prototypes. I've seen some really good, at least in the photos, production paint-ups. Now this looks really bright, but it's going to dry down. It's going to dry darker. I'll go in some, once I seal this, I'll go in some pigments and add the shadows. That'll be the easiest thing to do. I guess I could try to airbrush them. I got rid of my shadow color for Hulk. Unfortunately, I can just go with some clear black. I'll do that. So once this dries, we'll seal it. And I'll go ahead and add some shadows. And then the shoes will be done. The feet will be done. Since I don't have to get approval on it. Yeah, it's gonna look good. And once I add the shadows, it will darken a little bit. I don't want it too bright. Alright, so there you go. There's the base coat of that. I'll let that dry for a few minutes, and we'll seal it. And then I'll go in with some clear black and add the shadows. So once I'm ready for that, I'll come back. Seal that, let it dry for about a minute. And then I've got some just some clear black in my brush here, and I'm gonna, and it's pretty thin. So we'll see if we can get in here and add some shadows. We have some dry tip going on here. Usually don't get dry tips with lacquers, but it can happen. That color thing's coming out. It's really thin too, should be coming out. There we go. Coming out very slowly. Come on. There we go. It's not wanting to come out for some reason. I'm going to add a little shape to it so it's just not one solid color. Okay, I think maybe something to stuck in the airbrush. A little bit on the shoe, that's okay. That's looking pretty good. Just toned it down a little bit. Get a little. All right, we're gonna call that done. We'll seal that and then I'll consider the shoes done. Looking good. Okay. So now the next thing I can do is I can work on his shirt and pants. So I'll gotta figure out what color I wanna do for those. All right, so next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do Stan's pants, and I've decided I'm gonna give him some jeans. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to base coat it in GarageKits.us denim blue. Makes sense. Hopefully I got enough in there to do that. And then we'll add a highlight. So let's see what we got here. Hopefully there's enough paint in here. It seems pretty empty. We will see. This is a great shade of blue though, it's perfect. Alright. So again, I'm just gonna spray kind of down here, away from Hulk. And this is a little bright for my taste, but I think it'll dry down. There's some nice texture in the pants, so these pants could be anything. Could be khakis. The ones I've seen, they've done khaki pants. I think I'm gonna make these a dark denim. So the trick with these Garage Kids colors is you can't put them on real wet. They work much better if you build them up slow. So, like the lacquers I use, man, I can hose them on. But these you got to build up. I decided to do the pants first because I figured it'd be easier to do the pants, then mask those off, and then do the shirt. Oh, don't drop them. I have to take a break here in a little bit. My son's got a soccer game. Not that it matters when this gets uploaded, but we'll see. Still deciding if I should just do one long video. Oh. All right, my battery's dying, so I had the on-camera light on the phone, so let's plug it back in. Looks like it's still recording. So long as it's still recording, okay. Yeah, looks like I'm still recording. This is about done. So what I'll do here is I'm going to use some of that, kind of like I did on the white shirt. I'm going to base coat this in the blue. Then we're going to go with the semi-transparent white. Add highlights. And I may go with one of the semi-transparent darker grays. Attach shadows, and then I'll hit it again with this color. Looks like I got enough to do. How am I doing on paint here? Oh yeah, I got plenty of paint. Perfect. I kind of wish that, it looks like they casted him in one piece, legs and torso. It would have been nice if it was two pieces, they would have left them separate. Would have made painting easier. Not because of masking really, but because it's hard to get the airbrush into all these little crevices and get highlights and stuff on stuff. So even though it looks like I've got it covered, I'm just misting it on, making sure I got really good coverage. Like I said, you gotta build these colors up slowly, you just can't put them on. Okay. That looks pretty good. I'm gonna put this airbrush aside because it's got the blue in there, and I'll get out another one to do highlighting. Let me put this to the side. Let me get another airbrush going here. And we got that semi-transparent white again. Air pressure down a little bit. Oh shit. I spilled some blue paint on there, so I gotta let that dry. Not that that's a big deal because it's the same color, but it will be a different tonality, so let me dry that real quick. sure how that happened, but it did. See, I spilled some paint on it. So I'm just gonna go back over it with this. Go. Just make sure we can't see that. Okay. So now let's switch airbrushes. I actually should get another. I got a splitter over here. I could put another air hose on it pretty easily. Alright, so now I've got this semi-transparent white in my brush. And we're going to hit highlights, all the folds. So if it's a really crisp fold, I hit it harder. If it's a soft fold, I hit it a little softer. Backed off so I get nice soft transitions. Kind of back in the swing here, guys. I was in a rut there for a while where I didn't want to paint for a while. Kind of back into it now. A lot of subtle folds in this sculpt. Some of them aren't so obvious. The knee. It's like this is where it's hard to get into. Up here where it's bent. Just gotta do my best to get it in there. Then we're going to come in with the clear blue and hit the shadows. So one thing I like about lacquers over acrylics is the way they atomize. They atomize so beautifully, no matter which air pressure you use. Acrylics, the lower the air pressure, they don't atomize as well. They become speckly. I guess you could thin them a little bit, but lacquers, man, it's so easy to get smooth transitions and no speckling. Okay, now I got the wrinkles. I'm going to go and kind of hit the muscles and stuff. Do the wrinkles first, and then I hit the muscles. Because if I hit the wrinkle again, it'll just get brighter. That makes sense. Backing way off here to get the bum. Alright, pretty good. Pretty good, pretty good. I think I've got a transparent blue and the Badger clears. I gotta look at my time. I gotta take a break here and get my sundress for soccer. So we'll get this step done right now. And then we're gonna hit the shadows later. Alright, just about done with this part. Alright, that's looking pretty good. So I'm going to take a break, let this dry, and then we'll come back and we'll hit the shadows, and then we'll tie it all together. Okay, so here's how Stan's looking so far. I ran out of space when I was doing the other part of the jeans, but so after I did that initial highlighting stuff, I went in some clear blues and added to the shadows and stuff, and I just did a dry fit real quick, so he's looking really good. So, and I sealed this already a couple hours ago and went and ran some errands. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take him apart. So I'm going to kind of do a quick dry fit to see what he's looking like. I'm digging him with the fist. And I like the green sock. It's looking good. Shoes look really, really good. So I'm super happy with how this looks. So now what I can do is I can take him apart. And then I'm going to mask off. Now, usually when I do this, I would wait till tomorrow to mask. I'm going to try to do silly putty because everyone raves about silly putty, and I have a lot of issues with silly putty. The last time I used it, all it did was lift all my paint. I went to go peel it up, and all the paint came off with it. So I'm not sure if I'm doing something wrong or what. So I'm gonna get some gloves on here because my hands are a little dirty from cleaning my airbrushes just now. And I'll try to do some silly putty masking. Another thing I kind of love and hate silly putty. I like it because it doesn't stick. I don't like it because it doesn't stick. I don't want to mess up any of this stuff, so I'm going to put this to the side. Over there. Put that over there. Take the Hulk hand off. These have been dried really well overnight. Those are done. I'm not doing the fingernails on those because they're, you know, they're fake fists. They're not really real. I'm gonna put the shoes over here because those are done. So everything that's done, I'm gonna put over here to the side. Okay. Silly putty. Let's see how I can do this. So I've got like a big 5-pound thing of silly putty in my drawer here. I bought 5 pounds of it 'cause like I thought I'd use the crap out of it. I use it every once in a while, but I don't use it nearly as much as a lot of other guys do. So, but what I did buy the other day when my buddy Floyd was here was some new sculpting tools. And I like these because the tip on them is a little stiffer. So it's easier to manipulate with the silly putty. So, and I got the little on-camera light on my you know what, I probably should move Hulk off this bench so I have some more room to work. 1 second. I'm gonna pause and come back. Okay, we're back. So I got a towel out here. It's looking pretty good. I'm real happy with my shading and stuff. Looks like some nice worn jeans. Got some brush touch-ups here and there where my airbrush spattered, so I'll have to go back later and touch those up. Like 1, 2, I see like 3 little spots that just need a little touch of blue paint. I'll have to match it, but that's no big deal. All right, so silly putty, got it here. I try to get it as thin as possible. That's the thing I like about masking tape, is it's super thin. It's really easy to put it exactly where you want it to go. I kind of struggle with silly putty every once in a while, so we're gonna get this a shot. So the way I do it, I think most guys do, is they kind of put it on kind of in big swatches like this. And then what I'll do is I'll push it to the edges here in a second. I just have a lot of, when I do silly putty, I have a lot of cleanup to do around the edges because I don't get a crisp edge like I do with tape. So now what I'll do, I'll come in here with this tool. I'll push it right up in there. And this actually has a little bit of an undercut, so, which is very helpful, because any little brush touch-ups, it's really simple. I just go in there with the really dark color of the previous color, and it'll just look like part of the shadow. So. I have put silly putty on before and then cut it and pulled the excess off before. But I understand the appeal of silly putty because you can work faster if it's, again, it's a tool that I just don't use a lot. I think if I sit here and learn to work a little bit better, I could probably move faster as far as getting things done, because if I was going to mask this, I'd have to wait, probably overnight. Definitely longer than a couple hours to use masking tape. So just use the tip of the sculpting tool to kind of go where I want. And even use these little Q-tips sometimes. So the silly putty is great because it doesn't stick, but it sucks because it doesn't stick. So it's easily disturbed once it's in place. So that's kind of like what I fight with it, is that once I get it in there, it's really easy to move it and get it away from where you want. The very first time I used silly putty was on the Alpha 3 Captain America. When I did all the leather straps and everything, I spent like 3 hours silly puttying everything. Sprayed all my colors, got looking really good. Went back the next morning, pulled up the silly putty, and almost all the paint came up. Had stuck to the silly putty and pulled it up. That was very heart-wrenching. I probably won't film this whole thing because it'll take a while. So like this 5-pound block of silly putty was like $100, and I did the math to do the same thing to just buy little eggs would have been like $400 or $500 if you do it by weight and how much it costs. So that's why I bought the big thing of it, because I figured it'd be something I'd be using a lot. And you do have to, you can reuse it over and over again to a certain point, and then you have to save the dirty stuff for certain tasks, and keep the clean stuff for other things. So I'm just going to kind of get some big pieces out here to get the big areas covered. It does stick to itself very well. So I think you get the idea. And then just constantly, right before I spray it, I go back and I check the edges again. But I'm going to keep doing this, and then we'll come back. So we got them all silly puttied, and I think this is going to work. Looks like we got a pretty good edge around everything. So now I got to paint him. Paint this shirt red. And I'm going to start out with some brown Stynel Res primer. Just like that. So let me go get some of that, and we'll do it in the, I'll do it in the spray booth, and I'll come back. Okay, so we got the shirt and some brown style wrist. Now we're going and use some Mr. Color White. Mr. Color White to do the highlights. Again, it's gonna be tough because it's hard to get in all these little areas. What the hell just happened there? I have no idea what that's from. Blood just got spilt on this. I'm not sure what it was. Something black. Huh. What is that? That's so weird. I gotta go spray this area. I'm not sure what that is. I'll be right back. I'm not sure what got on there. That's weird. Something dark. I'll be back. I'm not sure what that was, but it was kind of all over it. Something. I got something on my hand from something. All right, so we're gonna go in here and we're going to hit all the wrinkles and stuff with some white. See, the silly putty is moving in my hand as I hold this. That's one of the reasons I don't like it. I gotta be able to hold on to it somewhere. See, and it comes off right there, so you gotta be careful that it moves. And right now I'm just hitting all the wrinkles. And then we'll go back and we'll get the muscle muscles and stuff. I think I'm gonna do this work in progress. I don't do one long video. I think once I get this shirt, then I'll call this work in progress done. That'll be a really good stopping point. What the hell is going on here? I did it again. There's something right there that keeps popping up. I'm not sure what it is. Is it something on my hands? It's really frustrating. I need to go hit it again. Be right back. I figured out what was happening there. When I grabbed this arm, my finger was touching that right there, and it was messing it up. I was like, what is happening there? I cannot figure it out for the life of me. So just don't grab that arm. That's the moral of the story right now. I got it all done. That looks pretty good. I'm going to go in, I'm going to start hitting like the muscle groups. Just back off. I'm just going to hit them real light. Before I spray the red, I'll make sure that the bottom of these pants are covered up. There's not a whole lot of muscle definition on this, so we're going to kind of make some of it up too. But Stan Lee is not a big muscular dude. Where are you going? I'll take care of the school supplies if you give me a chance. Just about ready to spray some red on this, I think. Looks like the silly putty around the shirt area has stayed pretty good. It's all those silly putty around the pants here that keeps getting messed up from me holding it. Okay. Okay, I think this looks pretty good. I'm gonna fix this silly putty down around here, around the pants down here, and anywhere else that's come loose, and then we'll spray the red. Should have enough here to kind of manipulate it the way I want. Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna go get some red mixed up. And I'm gonna spray that on. I can get this on a turntable. Be happy with this. It's pretty good. Alrighty. So now we're just start laying on. I'll take this into the spray booth and do it. Because red, the way I do this is, if you've seen before, is I start laying on the red till I get the color I want. pause and do that. All right, in the spray booth, so I'm going to spray on a couple of light coats of this number 81 russet. It's kind of a dark red. I probably don't have enough of this color to do the whole thing, to get several coats. So I'm going to just start off with one coat of this, and I'm going to go to a different color after this. Just kind of get a base. And I gotta pick it up and do the underside. You may not be able to see this. And this is why I hate silly putty. Hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it. It's moved around, doesn't stay put. Airbrush is spinning on me and I don't know why. Very frustrating. These little specks right here. It's almost the color I want. See if we got enough to do it. I didn't want a real bright red. With the brush touch, those little areas with the airbrush kind of spat on it. I just ran out of the russet. Just 2 bags. It's pretty close to where I want it to be. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to mix up some red matter, which is let's see. Yeah, it's the color I really wanted. So to mix up a custom color, I'm going to do a little super Italian red, which is pretty bright. Will you go get me, see there behind my airbrushes, Alina, there's some mixing cups. Very quickly, can you grab me one? I have to tell my daughter very quickly or right now, or it could take 3 hours.
Your son decides not to eat because he doesn't want to clean up his mess.
Okay, that's fine, he doesn't eat. Ooh.
So, letting you know here, take a snack.
Yeah, tell him no snacks. So I'm going to mix up some of this. And I'm going to add some clear brown to it. I have it. Clear brown. So I don't want a real bright. God damn it. I just spilled my paint. I don't want a real bright red. I don't want to spill paint. It's a waste. That. Some thinner. It's a lot of paint and it'll waste a lot, unfortunately. Okay, so I got some Italian red with some clear brown mixed into it. It's going to change this color a little bit. Back is looking exactly the way I want it. So I'm using the fact that red doesn't hide well to my advantage. I've said that in a lot of other videos. Red really sucks at hiding, so you can use that to your advantage by doing a shadow color, then a highlight, and then spraying your red on top of it. And you get all that shading through the red. About there. happy with that. It's a nice red, it's not too bright. It's got some nice shading to it. So I'm gonna let this dry for a little bit. And I'll take the silly putty off. And hopefully we have a nice clean edge. But this should look good with the blue jeans and the leather pants and everything. So there we go. There's the red on the shirt. Looking pretty good. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I say I'm happy with it, and I go back and I fan some more on. I'm doing this to try to even it out a little bit. If I back up and fan it on, I'll help just even it out. Yeah, this looks good. Alright, let's leave it alone. Looks good. That's a lot of wasted paint. I should keep this and mark it as a custom mix. Ah, I keep spilling shit. Ugh, I just spilled that paint too. It's been a long day. It's about time to wrap it up because I keep spilling stuff. So, let's put that away before I make any more mess, and then we'll come back after I take the silly putty off. Alrighty, so I took the silly putty off, and my masking was excellent, and I put a quick coat of sealer on it, and this is what we look like, and I love it. Perfect red, it's not too bright. Looks great. So all that's left on stand is the portrait. Earlier I thought I had lost his teeth and his tongue. Luckily I found them. So here he is with that, the neck with the shirt. Looks pretty good. And then with this portrait. So I'm super happy with that. Love the color combination. Love the green sock. Goes with the Hulk and everything. So I could glue this together tonight, but I'm gonna let this dry, really well overnight. And then we'll go from there. So I'm going to call this work in progress and done. It's a big one. It's very long, but we covered a lot. We covered the Hulk skin and then all of Stan except for his portrait. So we got a lot of work done today. In the past 2 days, lots of work. So I'm super happy with the progress. And if I keep it at this pace, I should have this wrapped up this week. So we'll see. It all depends on my work schedule. So as always, thanks for watching. This is Matt Morozic, and we will catch you guys next time. Bye.